What is Future Circus? The Future Circus is the result of a lot of thinking of what we want the circus to be in the second decade of its existence. And it's the result of a lot of trips we've done in the last year and a half, a lot of inspiration we've got, and a lot of talks we have with our guests. So you got to understand the circus originally was a hostel company. We have a hostel background, and then in 2007, 2008, we got the chance to get this building off that we're in today, which was very spectacular for us. But it was clear that this is not a building for a hostel; it was a hotel building. So basically, out of the blue, we decided to change a little bit of what we've done before and to get into the hotel market, which was a very interesting thing for us. Nice topic for us as well because we were getting all a little bit older, and we had very little experience, and so we did what we thought is best when you want to run a hotel in 2008, based on my experience in the hostel. And the first years had been an extremely interesting journey. Thankfully, the hotel was appreciated very well by our guests, and there was a lot of positive feedback, and we had a lot of guests first of all in a very competitive market, and but now we felt like after 7 or 8 years, we felt it makes sense to gather some new information, to have a look at the market, to use the experiences we have collected in the last years, our growing abilities. We are not the same people any longer we used to be like 8, 9 years ago. We know more, hopefully, and to basically start fresh and reevaluate the hotel. And the ideas we have accumulated, and the vision, if you want to call it a vision, the vision we had for the place, that all made its way into what we call the Future Circus. Um, the We have seen that our market has changed, Berlin has changed, and the demands and the needs of our guests in the last years have changed as well. I could talk about this for hours, but like to put it very short, um, the gastronomical offering in Berlin has radically changed in the last 6, 7 years. Berlin, when we started, Berlin was not really a food place. It was even famous for being relatively lousy when it came to classy food. That has completely changed. Berlin is now one of the most interesting food destinations in Europe with an exploding market. And so we felt that we should change our gastronomical offerings because more and more of our guests are exploring what's in the city and in our neighborhood. Um, and this was one decision to that was one observation that led to inviting some of the best gastro people and food makers in the city into our house. And we're very happy that we're teaming up with Common Ground, the guys from Silo and Friesheim, which are famous since years for being one of the best coffee places and breakfast places in the city. Um, the second really important thing for us is what are we offering to our guests beyond an open heart and hospitality, and a good bed and a clean shower. And we tourism has changed. Everybody knows that mass tourism, particularly to European destinations, European cities, is changing those cities, and it's more and more creating, at least in the inner cities, very often very generic cities with where it is really really difficult for a guest who's in the city for 2 or 3 days to make experiences, to meet people, to meet locals, to see, feel, taste things that are going beyond the easy, simple commercial experience. And we thought that this is getting more and more and more important in the age of mass tourism, and Berlin is an extremely popular tourism destination right now. So we thought that we should increase our efforts, invest more energy in showing our guests something that locals can do. Something that you're making experiences that are difficult to make for somebody who's in the city only for 2 or 3 days. And we summarize this whole approach under what we call behind the curtain. And we reevaluated and reapproached our whole, what we call like program to entertain our guests. That is a pretty radical step as well. They are changing communicational needs, technical and communicational needs, and we integrated that as well into what we call the Future Circus. Hopefully, what we can expect is a lot of happy guests seeing things that are the most remarkable memories of their stay in Berlin. Something that they're going to bring home saying, that is something I didn't expect. To explain this, as I said before, tourism is changing, and it's getting more and more and more difficult for people that are visiting a place for 2, 3, 4 days to get out of the touristic loops, to get out of a generic Disneyland-like touristic city. You all have been to Prague, you've been to Paris, where you're moving and circulating between the same sites, using the same streets, shopping in the same places. And we all know the term tourism restaurant, tourism shop. And we believe that our guests have the desire to get beyond and behind this facade that doesn't really have a lot to do with a regular city, with the cities we're all living in. It's a polished commercial version of a tourism destination. And it is our ambition to guide our guests behind this polished facade. And to give you one example, and what we're using is, of course, our stuff. Our stuff is rooted in the city. They bring their passion and their hobbies and their creative background into the circus. We also made a lot of experiences in the last years, which we're using. I'll give you a few examples. I'm a big football fan, and Berlin is a Bundesliga club, the German first league football club. And I do have some friends at Hertha BSC, which is the club that's playing in the Germany's first league. And they allowed us to get a tour into the VIP areas, even into the locker room of the players, 45 minutes before the game kicks off. This is one example of behind the curtain. We Andrew, who's together with Jared running the program, managed to get in contact with gallery owners and exhibitors and curators that are taking our guests and introducing them to the background of an exhibition. How do artists work today in Berlin? Berlin's a very important place for contemporary art, for producing contemporary art. So our guests will be able to see how those artists live, under what kind of conditions do they live. We have a wonderful staff member called Rachel. She's a dancer. And she's going to bring our guests together with creators, people that are playing a vital role in the dance scene, in the contemporary dance scene in Berlin. It's not only that you're going to see the dance itself, you're also going to meet the people behind. And we do believe that this is the best thing, beside having an open heart, and beside, as I said before, like offering a lot of as much hospitality as you can. That is the most precious thing a host, and that's what we are. When we are a hotel owner, we are hosts for a certain period of time. People are living under our roof, and the best thing that we can do, even if we're privately hosting people, it's the same, is taking our guest and showing them our city, the real city we're dealing with, which goes deeper than the touristic side of Berlin people usually get to see. And that is our ambition with Behind the Curtain. And we're very happy about the first experiences we've made. And the whole thing is going to take shape in this weeks, and we're very positive about what's happening. We think our guests are going to like it. It's a lot of inspiration for a lot of ideas, but basically summarized in one sentence, I would say it's a combination of observations and talks with our guests, and then the creative mind of Sandra Ernst, which is responsible for designing our houses. We 1.5, 2 years ago, we felt that we have to move on with the hotel. We felt that if we would do the hotel in 2016, we probably would change a few things. And one of the questions was like, what are the social needs of our guests? What do they do? Where do they perform their social activities? And we felt there's a move out of the rooms into social spaces. People were getting more communal. People were getting more social. Um, their food habits were changing. We realized they were very high percentage of our guests is very adventurous when it comes to food, and Berlin became a food destination for a lot of our guests. That was one observation we made. Sandra, which is so beautifully designing all our houses, came to us and she had a lot of ideas, and she moved on and she developed over the last years. And then we decided to basically go on a field research mission, which was a very cool part of our jobs, actually, very privileged. Sandra, Katrin started to travel. I went to Copenhagen, Stockholm, London, Paris, New York, and had a look at dozens of the most innovative, guest-friendly, spectacularly designed hotels, boutique hotels, places that we feel comfortable with comparing ourselves with. I traveled a lot. I went to a lot of places, in particular in Asia, because I do believe that we're going to have more and more Asian guests in the next years, and try to find out how modern design and boutique hotels, how they look today, what are the social needs of our guests. And so we developed a basic idea of how to rearrange the spaces within the framework of a landmark protected building here in Berlin. And the rest is, as I said before, the creative genius of Sandra. She collected ideas from all over, and hundreds of photographies and contacts to artists and single furniture pieces, and out of this, the ideas derived. I assume you mean different from other houses in the market, or different from the past. And then I would have to refer to the two main aspects that differentiating us from others, and that is the family aspect of the circus, and Sandra itself. To How do I explain this? The circus is, if you have a look at the hotel market in basically all over the world, the market shares of chain hotels is rising everywhere. But beside this, which is totally okay, there's a certain need for this, and they're supplying the market with a certain product that a lot of people want and a lot of people need. So that's totally okay. We are different. We're not a chain hotel. We never wanted to be a chain hotel. We are manager, owner, operated, which is a horrible term, but we run the place ourselves. We are working in the place. The owners are welcoming the guests at the reception. You're going to see us from January on working in the space. The people that are working here are friends, partners with us since 10, 15 years. We do believe that we have a very personal approach towards running a hotel. This is not, I know a lot of people are cynical, I hear this very often, but this is not, first of all, a business. This is, first of all, the space, the social space in which we live, in which we found friends, and in which we are accommodating guests. And we feel personally responsible for our guests on a very, very personal level. And I think that's a big, big difference to what you call a chain hotel, where the owners are sitting somewhere in Paris or somewhere in London and basically have no more direct relation to whom they're accommodating. This is a bit like the urban equivalent of a family-run bed and breakfast in South Europe, or there's a very personal element in what we're doing. And I think that really differentiates us from most other hotels in the market. And we are very, very happy that there are a lot of people who want exactly this, who don't feel comfortable in a prefabricated, pre-designed place that doesn't really tell them where they are, and that looks the same in literally every city where they're going to. There are also a lot of people who don't want or don't need the sterile environment that comes or the pretentious environment that very often comes with luxury hotels. So I think this is something that positively differentiates us from a lot of other hotels in the market. The second thing is something I'm very proud of, and that is the creativity of Sandra Ernst. She's designing all circus houses as long as they exist, and she has developed a very unique a visual voice. There's a visual sound and a visual tone which is very playful, which is very quirky in a way, which is very often full of little elements that have to be discovered, that take you on a little journey. So there's a very individual look and feel of what we're doing here. And people that have been to the hostels, that have been to the apartment house, they usually come into the space and say like, yeah, there's a certain, I can't really put my fingers on it, but there's something very distinctively circus about how these spaces look. And I think these two elements together, they form something that I'm very proud of, a certain element of uniqueness about what we're doing here.